Imagine being denied your dream job, or maybe a crucial bank loan, or even your freedom, right?
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
not by a human being looking you in the eye,
Right.
evaluating your actual circumstances. It's by a machine.
A machine that society just trusts completely blindly.
Exactly. We just assume it has this like superior logic,
Mm.
but honestly, it might actually just be peddling digital illusions.
Right.
So today, we are pulling back the curtain on the tech world's biggest buzzword to reveal what's actually real and, well, what's just a mirage.
It's so needed right now.
It really is. We're going to explore how some of these supposedly advanced machines are actually selling us empty promises. And more importantly, we're going to give you the ultimate toolkit to protect yourself.
Sound like a plan.
Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. We are thrilled you're spending your time with us today.
Absolutely.
And hey, if you love getting the absolute most crucial insights from top books without feeling completely overwhelmed by information overload, do yourself a favor and subscribe to the BookSnap channel.
Yeah, BookSnap is like the perfect place to stay sharp and stay curious.
It really is. It's just an invaluable resource for learners who want the heavy-hitting takeaways without having to, sift through hours of fluff.
Completely agree.
So for this deep dive, we're pulling our insights from a really comprehensive breakdown of the book AI Snake Oil.
Right, by Arvind Narayanan and the Sayosh Kapoor.
Yes. And our mission today is simple but critical. We want to separate genuine artificial intelligence achievements from the exaggerated marketing.
And really to empower you, the listener, to navigate this tech-driven world with confidence and, critical rationality.
Exactly. Because the authors of this book, they're taking a very rigorous look at the current landscape of AI, right?
Yeah.
But I want to be clear, they aren't doing this from a place of, blind hostility toward technology.
No, not at all. Their goal is actually to protect the genuine, proven advancements in AI.
Right.
They want to stop those real wins from being completely overshadowed by corporate exploitation and marketing hype.
Yeah, and the title of the book, AI Snake Oil, it instantly paints a very specific picture. I mean, you think of the old school traveling salesman, right?
Oh, yeah, rolling into a dusty 19th century town.
Exactly. On a wooden wagon. He's standing on a soapbox holding up a little glass bottle of, miracle tonic.
Promising the crowd it'll cure everything from a bad cough to a broken heart.
Right. It was a scam built on desperation, but also on a lack of scientific understanding. The public knew medicine was advancing, but they didn't know enough to tell real science from a magic trick.
And that is exactly the historical vulnerability the authors are applying to modern cutting-edge AI.
It's crazy how well that maps onto the modern tech industry.
The mapping is striking. The authors use snake oil to describe these commercial and political claims surrounding AI that are just pitched to the public as magic solutions.
Right.
We're seeing products and systems that are fundamentally unproven scientifically.
So they're built on insufficient data.
Insufficient data, or they're being applied way outside the scope of what they were actually designed to do.
So basically, a modern tech CEO essentially puts a shiny AI sticker on their product to magically boost the company's valuation.
Oh, all the time.
Relying entirely on the fact that most of us don't have the deep technical knowledge to, look under the hood.
Right. To verify if the technology actually does what they claim, they leverage the mystery and the sheer mathematical complexity of artificial intelligence to make these wildly exaggerated promises.
But the book does acknowledge that AI has made very real, very important achievements too, right?
Oh, absolutely. In specific fields like medical imaging or protein folding, the issue isn't the tech itself.
It's the marketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's how it's being marketed and irresponsibly forced onto society as this omnipotent fix for literally everything.
And if it were just about selling a slightly disappointing smart fridge, one that occasionally orders the wrong kind of milk, we probably wouldn't be doing a deep dive on it.
Probably not.
But the stakes are much higher. This unverified AI is being deployed in areas that dictate the trajectory of human lives.
Exactly. We're talking about the criminal justice system.
Human resources, hiring pipeline.
And the financial sector deciding who gets a mortgage.
Which brings us to the specific area where the book argues this snake oil is most dangerously applied, right? The attempt to predict human behavior.
Yes, this is the core of their critique.
Because this stuff feels very Minority Report,
Yeah.
The book levels a massive critique at AI's claim that it can predict what a human being will do next.
Predicting crime, forecasting job performance, analyzing someone's core personality.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second. Let me
Yeah.
try to trace the logic of why people actually believe this works.
Sure, go ahead.
As a consumer, I see algorithms predicting my behavior successfully every single day.
Ah,
I mean, Netflix knows exactly what obscure documentary I want to watch on a Tuesday night.
right.
Spotify knows my music taste better than I do. So it seems natural to assume that if a machine can map my entertainment preferences with eerie accuracy, it should be able to predict if a candidate is going to be a good employee based on their resume and test scores.
And that comparison right there perfectly highlights the core misunderstanding driving the snake oil market.
Really? How so?
Because there is a massive gulf between predicting consumer preferences and predicting human sociology.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Well, recommending a movie operates in a low-stakes, closed-loop environment. You clicked on 3 sci-fi movies, the system finds patterns among other users who clicked those same movies, and it shows you a 4th.
So it's just matching metadata.
Exactly, it's just metadata. But predicting job performance or, criminal recidivism, that depends on thousands of unpredictable, real-world variables that are constantly interacting and shifting.
Which brings in that critical distinction the authors make between technical accuracy and social validity.
Yes, that is such an important concept.
If I'm understanding this right, an AI system trained to play chess has perfect technical accuracy because the rules of chess never change.
Right, a knight always moves in an L shape.
Exactly. But if you train an AI to hire employees, the definition of a good employee changes based on company culture, management style, economic shifts, or even just like the mood of the team that week.
That is the exact friction point. An AI system might achieve a 95% rate of technical accuracy in a controlled laboratory environment.
And the engineers look at that training data and celebrate.
They do. But when you deploy that same system into the messy, ever-changing social environment, it completely lacks social validity.
Because the real world doesn't behave like a sterile lab with fixed rules.
Exactly. Human behavior is influenced by this incredibly intricate web of social, cultural, and psychological factors. You just cannot reduce that to a mathematical equation.
The book highlights a really chilling example of this failure in practice: court risk assessment systems.
Yeah, that part is tough to read.
So for those who don't know, these are algorithms used by judges to help decide if a defendant should be granted bail or kept in jail based on a mathematical risk score of them reoffending.
And the problem is, these systems might look completely mathematically and statistically sound on paper.
But in practice, they actively result in grossly unfair decisions, particularly against marginalized groups.
Right.
But wait, I have to ask, how does math actually launder bias? If the algorithm doesn't explicitly ask for someone's race or socioeconomic status, how does it end up discriminating?
Well, because the AI isn't looking at a defendant's soul, right? It's not judging their character. It is analyzing past outcomes.
Oh, I see.
So if historical data shows higher arrest rates in a specific zip code due to decades of historical over-policing in that neighborhood, the AI blindly assigns a higher risk score to anyone living in that zip code.
Wow. So it turns geography into a mathematical proxy for race and class.
Geography, employment history, even the age of your first encounter with police. The algorithm internalizes the prejudice of the past and applies it to the future.
And it hides it all behind a wall of proprietary code.
Exactly. It treats a deeply complex societal issue as just a simple math problem to be solved.
And yet, when we hear about the dangers of AI in the news, nobody is talking about court risk assessment systems or HR screeners.
No, never.
The conversation is entirely dominated by, like, Skynet scenarios. The machines waking up, gaining sentience, taking over the world.
Well, the authors point out that this profound media obsession with sci-fi existential threat scenarios is actually a massive distraction.
It pulls the focus away from what's actually happening.
Yes. It pulls the focus of the public and lawmakers away from the immediate, real-world dangers that are hurting people right now. The book identifies 4 present-day risks we should be focusing on instead.
Okay, let's focus on those real-world dangers. The first one is what we just broke down, right? Algorithmic discrimination.
Right, where the AI reproduces the biases hidden in its training data.
And the second risk is the lack of transparency, often called the black box problem. And this is especially prevalent with deep learning models.
Yes, deep learning is notorious for this.
So with this black box problem, it's not that the engineers lost the source code or forgot how they built it, right?
No.
It's that the AI has created so many millions or billions of micro connections between data points that a human brain literally cannot map the path it took from A to Z.
That is the core danger. It is organic, almost like mapping every synapse in a human brain.
Wow.
With traditional software, a programmer writes explicit rules. If X happens, do Y. It's a clear, traceable path. But deep learning AI isn't given explicit rules?
It just finds the patterns on its own.
Exactly. It is fed massive amounts of data and instructed to find the patterns itself. It builds its own internal pathways across billions of parameters.
That's terrifying.
So when it spits out an answer, say, denying your loan, the engineers can see the data that went in and the decision that came out, but the microscopic weighted connections it used to arrive at that decision.
They're too complex to trace.
They are so impossibly complex, a human cannot trace the logic backwards.
Which means if it makes a mistake, you can't point to why it happened or easily fix the specific flawed logic.
Right. And that leads directly into the third risk, legal accountability. Because think about it, if a human doctor misdiagnoses you, there is a clear legal framework. You sue the doctor for malpractice.
Exactly.
But if an AI in a hospital misdiagnoses you, the liability is completely murky. Do you sue the hospital that bought the software,
Yeah.
the tech company that coded it, the data brokers who provided the training data?
And our legal systems are completely unresolved on this issue. It creates a vacuum of accountability, essentially functioning as a massive liability shield for corporations.
That is wild.
And that ties into the fourth risk the authors identify, over-reliance on automation.
Oh, where we just start trusting the machine implicitly.
Yes. When we trust it blindly, humans step back. We defer to the algorithm, even in complex, nuanced situations that desperately require empathy, ethical context, and human intuition.
So we basically abdicate our moral responsibility to a spreadsheet. We assume the computer is always right because it's a computer, even when our own human judgment is screaming that something is wrong. And the lack of legal accountability we just talked about, that isn't an accident. It's a feature of a market racing too fast.
It really is an arms race right now.
And the engine driving that race, the thing everyone is interacting with today, is generative AI.
Ah, yes. Large language models.
Right. We all know what large language models are. We see the output everywhere. But the authors clarify a massive misconception
A
here.
very common misconception.
They say the underlying architecture of these models means they are not intelligent in any human sense of the word. They rely entirely on statistical prediction.
Yes. They mimic the structure of intelligence without possessing the substance. Generative AI fundamentally does not understand context, meaning, or truth.
So think of it like a brilliant, incredibly fast autocomplete on your phone. But imagine an autocomplete that has read every single medical textbook in the world, but has never actually seen a patient.
That's a great analogy.
It knows that the word cancer usually follows the word lung in certain contexts. It can write a beautiful, eloquent essay on lung cancer that sounds exactly like an oncologist wrote it.
But it has no fundamental comprehension of what a lung actually is.
Right. Or what pain is, or if the treatment it suggested is real or just a hallucination. It's playing a game of statistical probability, just guessing the next most mathematically probable word. It isn't providing expertise.
And because it doesn't understand truth, the architecture of these large language models makes them fundamentally incapable of fact-checking themselves.
Which brings up two major immediate risks that the book highlights, doesn't it?
Yes. First, the mass production of misinformation. Because they can produce incredibly convincing human-sounding text or photorealistic images in seconds, they threaten to erode digital trust entirely.
If we can't trust what we read or see online, the fabric of public discourse starts to unravel.
Completely. And the second risk is intellectual property theft.
Oh, right. Because these models were trained by scraping billions of articles, books, and artworks from the internet.
Largely without the explicit permission or compensation of the original human creators. It's essentially strip mining human creativity to build a predictive engine.
And the corporations doing this justify the speed and the rule breaking by pointing to global AI race, don't they?
Oh, constantly. You hear tech executives claim that if they slow down for copyright checks or safety audits or transparency reports, geopolitical enemies will win the race.
Right. They use this rhetoric to keep regulators off their backs.
Exactly. It's the perfect excuse to rush deployment without safeguards. They use wildly exaggerated AI hype to attract massive venture capital investments and artificially inflate their stock market valuations.
So the hype itself is the business model.
The hype is the business model, and the result of that unchecked race is a massive concentration of power.
Because only the biggest players can afford it.
Right. The only entities that can afford the immense computing power and the massive data centers required to train these models are a handful of tech giants. We are handing the infrastructure of our digital future over to a very small, very powerful group of corporations.
Wow. Okay, so after uncovering the economic motives and the architectural flaws of these systems, we really need to focus on how to navigate this landscape.
We do. The book provides a practical defense toolkit for evaluating these claims.
So what should we be looking for?
When looking at an AI product, the author suggests looking for published, peer-reviewed scientific evidence, independent testing, clearly stated limitations, and mechanisms for accountability.
Okay, but I want to translate these high-level regulatory ideas into a personal mindset for you, the listener.
Right, for the everyday person.
Because as a regular person trying to live your life, you can't exactly look at a company's proprietary code to see if it's been independently tested.
No, you can't.
You can't audit their algorithms. When an app just tells me it's powered by AI, what do I do?
Huh.
So your strongest personal tool is adopting what we might call algorithmic skepticism.
Yes. Maintaining that skepticism is absolutely vital.
Yeah.
It means actively looking for the opt-out button when dealing with automated HR screeners or customer service bots.
Just demanding transparency.
Yes, and questioning the actual necessity of the technology. Like, does your toothbrush really need an AI chip?
Probably not.
Or is it just an excuse to charge an extra $50 and harvest your bathroom data?
Exactly. You cannot substitute your own moral intuition for a machine's output.
Yeah.
But, I mean, individual action isn't enough to fix systemic issues, is it?
No. We cannot code audit our way out of this as individuals. The authors advocate for smart, balanced regulation.
So they don't want to stop AI development.
Not at all. They just want to put up guardrails. Their regulatory proposals are very concrete. For instance, they want mandatory disclosure in sensitive sectors.
Okay, meaning what?
Meaning, if an AI is being used in hiring, healthcare, or criminal justice, the creators must legally prove it works and doesn't discriminate before they deploy it.
Makes sense. We do that for new medications. We should absolutely do it for life-altering software.
Exactly. They also propose creating independent oversight bodies with the authority to audit these systems. And they argue for significant government funding for independent academic research.
Because right now, the tech companies are funding most of the research themselves, right?
Yes, which creates a massive conflict of interest.
Right. You can't have the fox guarding the henhouse and also funding the study on henhouse security.
Exactly. Finally, they argue for a guaranteed legal right for individuals to appeal automated decisions.
So if a machine fires you or denies your loan, you must have a legal avenue to force a human review.
Yes, the goal is to keep humans in the loop. Always.
The media and the public have a role to play here, too. The media really needs to stop swinging wildly between extreme optimism and extreme pessimism and focus on accurate, grounded science journalism.
And as a society, developing basic tech literacy is it's no longer optional.
No, it's not. We have to understand the basic mechanics of the digital world to participate in a fair future.
It is a dense topic, I know, but grasping these mechanics is essential for anyone navigating the modern economy. The core message here is that AI is not a magical force, and it's not an inevitable existential threat.
It's just a tool.
It's a tool, and the greatest danger isn't the technology itself. It's allowing marketing propaganda to replace critical scientific analysis.
Well said. This has been an incredibly eye-opening conversation. We've mapped out the illusion of AI snake oil, the real-world dangers of algorithmic bias, the financial motivations driving the hype, and the actionable tools we need for smart regulation and personal skepticism.
We covered a lot of ground today.
We did. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over. We started this whole conversation by imagining a machine making life-altering decisions about your future.
Right.
Our sources today make it clear that true progress isn't defined by how complex an algorithm is, but by how well it serves human justice, transparency, and fairness.
That is the ultimate metric for any technology we build.
So here's the question you have to ask yourself. If we continue down this path, if we get too comfortable outsourcing our daily choices to machines that we fundamentally don't understand, what happens to our own human agency?
That's the big question.
At what point do we stop being the architects of our own lives and start becoming just another data point in someone else's predictive model?
Gives you chills, doesn't it?
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We appreciate you giving us your time and your curiosity today. Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, if you want to keep exploring the truths hidden inside the world's most important books, hit that subscribe button for the BookSnap channel. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and please don't buy the snake oil. Take care, everyone.